And we are live, guys. Welcome back to another Thursday Millionaire Lunch. I am seated next to two millionaires here. We got Bobby Sieg Miller on my left, and right in the center here, we have Michael Franke. Gentlemen, how is the weather in your parts of the world right now?
Frigid.
Bobby was like in Salt Lake City.
KC is always cold. I remember going down to the electric or light district is what it was called, and it was frigid. And I thought Utah was cold, but then I went to Kansas City, and it's a different kind of cold that penetrates all the way through your clothes, your bones. It's crazy.
No mountains to protect you.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, welcome back. We do this. I no longer have whatever gunk I had. I found out a few of our homeowners have it, so I might have got it from door knocking. But we are here every Thursday at 12 o'clock Arizona time to answer your questions, help you guys out. We've done role plays on here. We've done some deal underwriting. We've explained how we've helped homeowners. We want to give you guys resources and answer all of your questions on how to make a difference inside of our communities and help more people stay in their homes, or at least stop the foreclosure that the bank has started for them. So I have, Michael, what have you done? Over 600 foreclosures that you've stopped?
700 plus. I had to go back and audit it.
Oh,
but I know it's 700 plus.
That's insane. 700 plus under his belt. Bobby did it back in the late 1900s. He wrote a book about it. Is there anything I missed on that, Bobby?
I was just going to say, I'm just working on my first deal.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So
put your head back up and spin around, and I'll believe you.
So between the
that
three
was
of us,
supposed to be our grand entrance. You have a hoodie too. We should have faced reverse first and then turned around. Yeah, here we go. Our surprise guest, Michael Franke.
So we're here to make sure that we answer all of the questions you guys have so we can help more homeowners and have more opportunities. Actually, I know Michael's mentioned a homeowner Googled how to stop foreclosures and found him from his YouTube channel. So if you are a homeowner,
I've ever done.
If you are a homeowner that's going through situations, don't worry. We have solutions to help stop this. Actually, we just did a little quick audit ourselves. Since in the last month, we've stopped 15 foreclosures in the last month, and we've purchased 2 homes. So we figured out we're helping more homeowners stay in their properties than end up purchasing. And the ones that we've purchased, we've been able to get them more money than they were going to walk away with otherwise. So there's lots of options, and our goal is to make sure that we help identify that for you. And one thing I do want to talk about before we start bringing people on stage, because we'll answer questions in the side chat and we'll bring you up on stage. The one thing that I do want to cover for everybody, because I know, Michael, I've just been telling everybody I've been using the niche data, and I want to cover just a little bit of housekeeping for everyone on here. When they get the niche data that you guys have, you got every county in the United States right now. When we use the niche data, we get it updated every single day.
Every day.
Every day it's updated. So this is the biggest thing. I know Michael or Bobby and I have talked about this before as well. One of the biggest pains, because I had a few people say, well, I've been pulling it from here and here. Now I need to skip trace it. What all does that entail? There's different programs you can use to skip trace and find phone numbers, but it's very time consuming and it'll take you a while. And you can only use so many lines of code a month. So just say you get access to 200 and it's $200. Well, if you want to find next of kin or the spouse's name, it's very time consuming. Niche already has next of kin and everything that you need. So I just wanted to let you guys know that data is updated every single day. I don't know any other platform that's giving it to you every single day with not only the homeowner's information, next of kin as well. So when you're contacting them to help them out and to give them those solutions, I use niche data. It's been incredible for me. So I wanted to cover that. Is there anything else I missed about niche data, Michael?
No, guys, it's funny. I've done this for a long time, as you guys know, and I still every morning log in and check out, all the foreclosures that are coming through. And I almost pass out of joy that it's you can log in and check all this stuff out, because it would have been ridiculous to have years and years ago. But no, you get all the homeowner contact information, their address, of course, their emails, validated emails, which is a highly underrated way of contacting homeowners, all their phone numbers, and then all of the equity data in terms of the house values, beds, baths, square footage, etc. But then, as Caroline said, all of the relatives information. We're talking about potentially, 5, 6, 10 different relatives, 3 or 4 phone numbers each, all of their addresses that you could go door knock, etc., and all of their emails. So wealth of information. It still blows me away, to be honest.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to highlight, because we were looking at, I had a call earlier today with the homeowner. The one thing about niche is it updates in real time. Did the sale get canceled? Did they file for a bankruptcy? So you know if it's still happening or not, which is really nice because most places don't get that updated in real time, which is really cool. Little perk.
I
So
just want to make a comment because I've got a smirk on my face. I don't know why life is funny to me, but I don't have my glasses on, and I looked in the side chat, and Jesus had posted something. I'm like, oh, that's actually Jesus. You know, it's not that. So I'm like, Jesus is watching us, Michael. This is awesome.
We've made it.
We finally. But
Right.
it said, hey, can you guys please talk about some of the data in terms of pre-foreclosures?
Maybe Jesus was having a little bit trouble getting a hold of some of his people down here and wanted to talk, so needed the relative data or something.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's blasphemous or not, but I thought it was
no, it's not blasphemous, but I love Jesus. So Jesus, I got a license plate named after you. No, but what was funny is I was reading that, Michael, and it said like IDI Skip Genie, and it looked like it said botch leads. And I'm like, there's a lot of companies out there that literally botch the leads. They're late. It's a week, 2 weeks. It's crusty data, lack of information. So I started laughing when I saw Jesus, and then botch leads is all I kind of saw. And I'm like, no, that actually says a different word. But I think that's key. I've said it before, no data, no deals. If you have incorrect data, that was one of the biggest challenges that I had, was trying to find homeowner information. How do you track them down? I finally know there's a trustees cell. I know when the date is. I know when it's scheduled for, and I know the names of the people, and now I got to contact them. How do you get it? And there's a lot of different resources that you can go. But instead of having 4 or 5 different systems that feed and aggregate that data, it's nice to have one source of truth. So that's kind of fun. So as far as talking about all the sites, I mean, you've got it there. You've got access not only to the individual, but friends and family. That's kind of unique.
Mm-hmm. It's a nail on the head. So it's really great. That's what we've been using. I know a lot of people are using it and they're getting deals. And the coolest thing for everybody on here is we've had a lot of people before the data was accessible. It takes a lot of time on your own gathering it. But just from the content we've put out on YouTube, I don't know how many, we should probably figure out, everybody who's been watching, how many auctions they've stopped from just being inside of this ecosystem because of what we've been giving. I know we had Fayaz, who was in Georgia, who did a ton in 1 week. We have Landon, who's been crushing it in Ohio. We have Anthony in Texas. We have a lot of people who've been getting access and asking us questions on here. So we want to open up the floor to all of you guys and answer your questions that are in the side chat. And I'm also going to throw an invite in the side chat right now. As long as you're on YouTube, you can click the StreamYard link. Make sure you close your YouTube window. You can come up on stage with us and ask us a question. So I wanted to make sure that I did all of our little housekeeping at the very beginning so we can help you guys out. And then let's see what questions we have. But before I find some questions for us, Michael and Bobby, Michael, I want to know, you've been doing this when you started out, you were a teacher. You've now gone into this full time. You have a team surrounding you, and you decided to open up niche and help more people figure out how to stop these foreclosures. What has been the biggest catalyst in your success when you got started? Like, what would you say what was the thing that turned the tide for you to start helping more homeowners and doing deals?
So from 2015 to 2018, I was doing a lot of different deals from random deal sources, MLS deals, some bandit sign stuff, bought a few deals from wholesalers, bought some houses off of a auction platform called Hubzoo back when that was popular back in the day. But it was super random. There was no system to it. It was almost luck. You would just kind of stumble into things. And unfortunately, a lot of those deals were not terribly lucrative. I was kind of relying on other people and their knowledge, etc. And the biggest catalyst for me was I had financial issues. I had to make something happen. So that was in 2018, down to the last couple $100 in my bank account. So for some of you that are like, well, Michael or Bobby or Caroline, you are living pie in the sky. You have all this money. You don't understand how I feel when, I'm starting from ground zero. Oh, I promise. I understand ground zero. But that's when I found my first foreclosure. So I went and door knocked that house, told that story many times, not going to do that right now. But it was almost the awareness of how quickly things can change when you go direct to motivation that changed things for me. I literally looked at my phone on Zillow, went and door knocked a house. Within 10 days, went from a couple $100 in my account to $50,000 in my account. And the awareness of, wow, that person had a problem. They needed that problem solved. I solved that, even though I don't have a whole lot of real estate experience in terms of all these things that they needed. And that awareness is what changed everything for me.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I want to make sure I was talking in the background. So the awareness, understanding how to get started. Bobby, what did you hear that stuck out for you when Michael was explaining what helped him get deals done?
He had some personal experiences that kind of lit a fire under his butt, and I find necessity is a great educator. When you have to go put food on your table for your family, the men and women in the working class have a different motivation. And so that was the catalyst. And I think once you do a deal and you do the door knock and once you find this isn't that hard, these are humans, there's a problem to solve. I have the ability to solve that. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. Now, you do need to have a certain level of education and vernacular, know how to understand and communicate with banks, homeowners, what to say. That's the beauty. Michael lays it all out for you. Here's what you say to the homeowners. Here's what you say to the banks. Once you get over that initial, okay, wow, this isn't hard, it's actually exciting and it's addicting, is what I found. I remember showing up to the first trustee sale, and I had my check in hand and I was going to bid on that property, and then you see the sale's been canceled, and I'm like, what just happened? I was getting ready to even slip the guys some money. Hey, don't bid on this one. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'll bid on the next one.
I do that. That's illegal, Bobby.
It is, but give them lollipops, offer lunch, whatever you got to do. The point is, it's an interesting thing when you reverse engineer their process, and we're the ones stopping those sales. So other people are showing up at courthouse steps with their checks and wondering, why was this canceled? We're trying to catch it before that event happens, and we're helping homeowners. Caroline, you shared this statistic. We've done a number of deals. We didn't make a dime on them. And I don't care that we didn't make a dime. We helped families, and that's the beauty. And then when you have a family that's just like, you know what, we are checking out. We do want some of our equity. We are okay to hit the reset button on life, move in with mom and dad, rent, whatever their story is. We're there to help them navigate through that process with poise and with grace so that it is a nice landing. It's a far better landing than the sheriff showing up, handing the eviction notice, and then, kicking him out. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference, and that's what I really enjoy. So, Michael, Bobby, I see that we have David in the background, and it looks like Darian's about to turn their camera on. So I'm gonna bring David up on stage. David, before I bring you up, make sure if you have the YouTube video open, close it, just because you're in StreamYard, there'll be an echo. Anybody else, if you'd like to join us on stage, go to YouTube. There's a link in the side chat that says StreamYard. We'll bring you up and we'll answer your questions. But with that being said, David, gonna bring you up. What's going on, man? How can we help you?
How's it going? I wasn't expecting to say anything or to see anybody. So
touchdown.
No, I'm just, I'm excited what you guys are doing. And I started getting into real estate investing the beginning of this year and got my real estate license here in Virginia, originally from Utah, moved here just over 2 years ago. And there's a gold mine here and I'm trying to tap into it. And so, I really like what I've seen so far through the sub 2 community. And watching videos with Caroline and just really impressed. So I'm super excited to get going. I've had a couple of deals this year that I did on my own, land deals. Just sold a land deal yesterday that I made almost 100,000 on.
Congratulations, man.
And then hopefully on the second one, I'll do about 150,000 on it, but just waiting for it to be subdivided by the county. So, but I want to get more into like
we need some more excitement for 6-figure deals. Holy
I'm taking notes on this.
Like, this is common. I would have had to work 5 years for that as a teacher. So,
well, yeah,
those two deals.
I have to be upfront. It's not all mine. I have a couple of friends that, help me with it, private money lender. So, splitting that 3 ways, but, it's a pretty big deal to me, and
life-changing money.
But it's a lot of work too. The land deals is very complicated. I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I would do differently now. Would have sped up the process. and cost me a lot less money. But you learn through your pain and your mistakes, and that's what I'm all about. Is just getting in, taking action, and fail fast and learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. So
did you take raw ground through the entitlement process is what you did?
what's that?
Did you take raw ground and take it through the entitlement process?
Yeah. So what I did is it was basically raw ground. But I did, because it needed a septic system, I had to get a perk test done on it.
Mhm.
It had never had a survey before. It had been in family for 100 years. And so I had a survey done on it, and it turned out when I purchased it, it was 4.67 acres. When I got the survey done, it came back 7.26 acres. So I basically got 2.5 acres for free.
Holy
Uh,
moly.
but I had the survey done, I had the soil test done, I got the certification letter, basically turned it into raw land that nobody knew what could be done with it, to now it's approved for a 5-bedroom house to be built on it. So
Nice.
yeah, so family bought it. They're going to build their dream home on it, and I'm excited to see what they do. But
My question is this: how did you identify that property was even a deal in the first place?
well, it was kind of, as I started getting into this real estate investing, mindset, I just started talking to everybody about it. Like everybody, my kids are sick of it. Everywhere I go, like, Dad, please don't talk to them about real estate. Please don't.
Such a good education for them.
But I'm talking about it everywhere I go. I'm always listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, books on. But I was talking to, friends in the area and saying, hey, I'm getting into real estate investing. I'm getting my real estate license. If you know anything, let me know. And one of my friends, he brought me a neighbor who was selling his land. He's like, hey, I think this is a good deal. I think it can be subdivided. And so I did a deep dive into researching what land is selling for in the area. I went down to what is it selling by acre? What is it selling by square foot? And just really did a deep dive into the analysis. And it's like, yeah, if we can subdivide this, this is a great deal. And so I locked it under contract, put the MD down and everything, and moved forward on that one. Well, like a week and a half later, as I've been researching all this, I started getting these notifications from Redfin and Zillow saying, hey, this is for sale. This is for sale. Well, one popped up. I was driving down the street. One popped up, and it was bigger in size and a better deal than the one I just bought or put under contract. And I'm like, this is even cheaper than the one I just bought, and it's in a better location. And so I jumped on it. I called the realtor, and he's like, yeah, it's an estate sale. It's being sold by the trust attorney. And I said, well, I want it, and I put it under contract as quickly as I could. They wouldn't do double agency. And so he had to refer me to another agent in his brokerage. And so I had to wait till Monday for her to get back to me. And I locked it under, I had to go about 20,000 over asking because some other offers came through. But I still, even 20,000 over asking was still
A deal.
Is this in Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of quick tips I want to say. First of all, here's a book. Okay. It's a book I read, really good, by Mark Cadell. And there's a lot of good tips. I want to say there's a lot of money. So back in early 2000s, I did a 25 acres here locally, 5 different farmers. It was a beautiful thing. I've served on the planning commission, had a real estate license. So I understood the mechanics. I'll just issue a warning to the group. There's a lot of complexity you need to know with land, but there's also a lot of opportunity. The majority of your money is taking a raw, unentitled piece of land and entitling it. And what that means is pulling out an application, doing a little bit of engineering. Sometimes you have to do some perk tests, artists, or renderings that you've got to present to the city. That process takes anywhere, really good cities are 3 months, can take as long as 6, 7, 8 months. And you take that same parcel of ground, sometimes requires a rezoning from agricultural to single family, multifamily, depending on the zoning. So what you're doing is taking it from one state and highest and best use, and titling that, excuse me. And then the next phase, and that's the least expensive phase to do it, and the least risk and the most opportunity. Right after that, when you start putting in undergrounds, road, curb, gutter, sewer, that's the most expense and the least profit. So that is, they call it selling it at paper lots. If you're going to mess with this stuff, that's, as a newbie, where I would absolutely 100% unequivocally stop, unless you're a developer. Sell those paper lots, leave some meat on the bone for the developer to come in and put in the improvements, is what they call that. And again, they want to build houses and go vertical. That is, if you have land, bring those deals to us, raw land. It's fun to look at those. But again, just buyer beware. It's a different animal than what Michael and I, in terms of pre-foreclosures, are doing, but good on you for doing that. If you can focus and that can be your niche, beautiful thing.
Yeah, I don't think I want that to be my niche. It just happens that those fell in my lap. I really do want to delve into more of like these. I really like the idea of the pre-foreclosures. I really like the idea of helping people. The whole reason I got into real estate is because I want to be able to help more people. I want to be able to provide not only better for my family, but be able to do more in my community. And so, I mean, I just stumbled across you guys because of Sub 2, right? And now I'm like learning a lot more about this pre-foreclosure space, which I've kind of looked at it a little bit. I've pulled the tax list, the delinquent tax list off of our county website. You know, I've thought about skip tracing it, but I've just been so spread out, you know, in so many different directions that I haven't been able to focus there. But
Mark does a lot of mailing. You know, that's his big thing, and lowball offers and a lot of mailing. So where are you at in Virginia?
I am right between DC and Richmond. So
Okay.
if you're going north and south on 95, I'm like an hour south of DC and an hour north of Richmond.
Okay. What's your credit card number?
Growing like crazy here. It is there's so much development going on, and man, if I had $1 billion, what I could do. But
yeah,
it's such a great opportunity here, and so I'm just grateful, you know, to be here. And like you were saying, the land thing is very risky. The more I delved into it, the more I realized how it was kind of in over my head. Like I said, I got lucky on those two opportunities. I did get under contract for 12 acres that the real estate agent, the way they were presenting it, made it look like it could be developed into 12 1-acre lots. They already had 12 perk tests done. They already had a preliminary drawing with where the lots could go, the cul-de-sac and everything. And I had somebody that I linked up with that does a lot of investment and development, and she thought it was a good deal. So I locked it under contract with a 60-day study period. And when I did a deep dive into the county regulations and what the county allows and the code, there's no way you could get 12 lots out of it because the county requires that the lots be a minimum of 1 acre each. Okay. And if you're put in infrastructure like road, and
it's a lot to get involved in land. And David, I think it's incredible that you were able to get those first few deals, because first and foremost, $100,000 on your first deal, life-changing money, even for your private money lenders and you involved. I am so excited that you're able to find us. And this is why I connected with Michael so much and with Bobby, because we're able to help more homeowners. Yeah. And it feels like you're making a difference. So before I let you go, because it sounds like you're just getting started, you're on the right path.
And I can
have any questions for us before I let you go? Because we have a lot of
where's your script? I can't find your script. You sent
me. Are you kidding me? Well, look, Michael and I both have a recording.
I have your link tree, and I'm actually got Nish up on my screen ready to sign up. And
so, if you have not, so you must have messaged me. Message me the word data, because that'll send you to the recording that Michael and I did before. I want you to study that. Because anybody new, just a show of like in the side chat so I can see who's on here. Who's kind of terrified to talk to a homeowner that's in pre-foreclosure and you don't know what to say? I'll give you a hint. I started that way. So that's why I was like, okay, let me bring Michael onto my podcast. Let me ask him a question. And what I did, if you message me the word data, a video is going to come up, and it's a role play where I was like, I don't know what to say. Let me be really mean to Michael Franke. So if you want to see Michael Franke handle somebody being a big bully and mean to them, and you want to see every objection you think a homeowner could throw at you, that's that recording. So if I go over to YouTube, let me show you this really quickly. I have one on my video, and there's one on Michael Franke's. I'm going to show you Michael's because he got his video edited before mine. Michael, if you go to his YouTube channel, let me share my screen so you guys can all see this. So if you go to Michael Franke's YouTube, All right, you click on his profile. You go to the videos right here, videos. Scroll down. It is going to be their seller role play. It's before seller role play right here. How to deal with an angry seller.
I need to crop in your face. I don't know what I was thinking with that lady.
It should be, but we know what it is now.
That still shot right there.
I think I'm so excited to be talking about Michael Franke. She's got, what is that? Fan club on her face.
That's what it could be. But I want you guys to know the beginning of this call, there's 2 versions of this call, just so you can get the hang of it, David. The beginning of this call, I was a very angry, mean homeowner because those were the objections I was getting. And I was afraid and I didn't know how to overcome it. And Michael did a really good job of prioritizing. One of my favorite quotes from Michael Franke. So get your pens out, write this down. The phrase is, divorce your desires at the door. And the biggest difference between copying off of the Michael way and what we do is we prioritize the homeowner. How do we make sure that the homeowner is getting taken care of? We go through every option for them to keep the home first. And when it does not make sense, then it's like, okay, well, you need to sell it. Let's structure this so we can put the most money in your pocket possible. That's how we do it all the time. So the beginning of that entire call, I'm really mean. I would take notes, write it down, listen to it over and over. Actually, my entire team has that video on our homework for them starting. I say, master that call, listen to it. There's one where I'm really mean. And then there's another role play we did at the end where I was nicer and I was more open to listening to Michael. But the biggest thing is you identify, you diffuse, and you deal with the situation and you help them out. So that is my script. Write it out for yourself, and that would help you a ton.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool. You're welcome. I hope that was helpful.
David, are you part of the niche group, by the way?
For data?
I have it up ready to sign up right now.
Get in there. My son actually served a mission in Virginia, so Richmond, similar area to you. So we are from Utah. But
cool.
Anyway, join the group, and you'll be able to ask a lot more specific questions about those things.
Awesome.
I'm gonna come hang out with you about the land stuff. David the land man.
Anytime. I've delved into quite a few different options. So yeah, anytime you want to talk about it.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming on, David. Really
Super
appreciate
cool.
it.
I love hearing the success stories.
Those are awesome. All right, Darian, I'm going to bring you up next. So just make sure that you have your YouTube window closed. What's going on, man? I know you're new. You just joined the Facebook group today.
Yeah, actually, I did just join today.
Okay, fine.
You proved me? Oh, thank you so much.
What's going on, man?
It's a pleasure. Well, I just started this about 2 months ago, so I'm newbie of the newbie.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, I found Jerry first. I'm in a mentorship with him right now, but
love Jerry.
Out of all of the options that I was seeing, I just really like pre-foreclosure. I mean, I served a mission for 2 years, and I like knocking doors. I'll just put it that way. So,
where'd you serve?
I served in California, Anaheim.
Okay, that's brutal. That's like going to another country. I've got a son in Colombia right now. That's worse than Colombia.
Yeah, it's a little tough out there, but it's good. It was good.
Well, cool, Darian. So you just got started. You've been through Jerry's stuff. Love Jerry Norton. Got to hang out with his family. He's one of the best people I've ever met. It sounds like you are a go-giver as well, and you want to serve other people. Where are you needing help right now?
I need the connections. That's what I need. I need to get to know people. It's currently just me and my wife doing this, and I mean, I got to know some people through Jerry's program, but not a lot of people are doing pre-foreclosure on there. And I really like Michael's videos. So I wanted to see if I could get some connections here. Really glad to be here.
You came to the right place. So right now, are you contacting homeowners in pre-foreclosure?
I am. Yep. And
perfect.
I have a couple warm leads, but I haven't done any deals yet.
Where do you live?
I live in Orem, Utah.
Okay, so you're in Bobby's neck of the woods. So Bobby's your neighbor. Okay, so one.
Hey, Bobby.
What's up?
Yeah.
I'm 10 minutes north of you.
Really?
There you go.
I grew up in Orem.
You should connect with Bobby. Yeah, you should definitely connect with Bobby. I know I'm going to be we got to do a meetup in Utah. So we'll do a meetup in Utah probably in February so we can all hang out, get through the holidays. But the biggest thing is so I know you joined the niche Facebook group to connect with people. Are you using niche data as well?
No, I'm not, but
not yet.
I think I should be.
That's a great way to get in, because then not only with that niche data, because I found this out, I was just getting the data. I was not utilizing everything, but with the niche data, you get to talk to Michael a lot more, so he can coach you through some other things. but the niche data is going to help you get a hold of people much faster. And then if you want to, you just ride your bike over to Bobby's house because you're only 10 minutes away, and you say, Bobby, can you help me talk to this homeowner? Because this is the biggest thing. Bobby and I've been on Zooms since 5 a.m. this morning. Bobby and I just talked about Anna. I don't think Anna's on here. Anna started calling my data, and all she had to do was set an appointment. So for everybody in here who feels overwhelmed, what do I say to these people? How do I get started? You don't have to know all the answers. And this is the biggest thing that helped me my catalyst was meeting Michael Franke. Meeting Michael Franke and asking him questions. I cannot tell you. I can even feel it right now. I can remember it. My palms are sweaty. I was in front of one of my first doors. I was knocking to go give a contract. It's like, Michael, what do I do? What if she asks me this? How do I say this? What do I go here? And Michael was like, hey, she just wants to be taken care of. Make sure you're taking care of this homeowner, and the rest will go smoothly. So we were able to give her more money, let her stay in her home. She didn't have any questions about the contract. I walked her through it. She got a copy of it. We were good. And it's because I had him in my back pocket. Now, and I was pulling the data myself. So I was doing all the heavy lifting. Now you don't have to pull the data, and I can ask him questions at any time. So if you use that, you get the data and you set the appointment. This is the biggest thing I wanted to hit on. Setting the appointment. You don't have to know what to say at the beginning. Set the appointment. Michael, have you ever talked to a homeowner for anybody?
I've talked to homeowners for a ton of people.
Okay. Bobby, have you ever called a homeowner for somebody else?
I don't
How many
have
times have you done that today, Bobby?
I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times.
So when you're new in this, Darian, you don't need to know exactly what to say. The biggest goal is getting a hold of somebody and letting them know that you can stop the foreclosure and that you have options. And once you find somebody who wants help stopping it, then you can set the appointment. Michael can talk to them. Bobby can talk to them, whatever you want to do. The biggest thing I say, again, I haven't seen Anna respond in the side chat. She got to just set the appointment. The call got bumped up to Bobby, and she got to sit on, I think they were either on a Zoom. She got to watch Bobby make the phone call and listen in and learn and ride shotgun. So she got to see the master at work. I think that's the biggest difference for me. That's why I was like, how do I get to become friends with Michael Franke? Because he's doing things the right way, the ethical way. I want to have the opportunity to do deals with him in the future. So what can I do for Michael? I want to let everybody know who Michael Franke is, so I can connect with him and I can feel good about my business at the end of the day, knowing I'm helping more homeowners. Okay. I didn't have to have all the answers, but I connected with somebody who was bigger, smarter, and had done this more than me. So I would say you're in the right place. Thank you for coming on today. Don't feel like you have to do everything at once. I know I'm talking really quickly. I want to make sure I get all of this covered. Don't feel like you have to do everything at once, but just connect with Bobby, Michael, the group, and ask questions, and you'll be taken care of. And this is the other thing. I help out in that group because I was talking to Michael. I don't want any bots in there I block probably 10 people a day that try and come in and spam stuff. So that's a very close-knitted area, and we're here to help you. So you can have a ton of help, but I'd get your data from Niche because that's where we're pulling ours from. You get it same day. It's already skip traced, and you get updated if they're still in pre-foreclosure or not. And then there's scripts and everything else with it.
Yeah. So I can just contact you guys through the group or get Niche.
Yeah. Message us.
Sweet.
Instagram.
There's two things. Anybody that's starting out in this business, I mean, Michael and I have been doing this for a long time. Like I said, he's got a whole company built around it. I've got a book I wrote about it. The key is data, no deals. I always say that. And the second thing is community. And you got to find out what your vertical is. There's guys doing probate. Michael talked today about surplus funds. Super interesting topic. But that is like next level. You know, let's get you understanding the basics. And there's people that can tee up deals, call on data, and make money doing that while you're learning and have that front row seat to watch a deal from beginning to end. But that's kind of find your community. There's a lot of programs out there. Everyone's doing that. But what I love about, the focus here is this is pre-foreclosure focus, how you do it, what you do, and then resources and a community that is the same, type of group. So that's what I love about it. But anyway, the Get Niche now, that's where you can go and look more into the program and getting that data that has information.
But get started, contact some people. You can message us on Facebook. Instagram's the best way to get a hold of us. Okay. Michael responds on Instagram messages. Let me point down to where he is. So do I. And Michael's live all the time. Michael even answers questions on Saturdays. So if you want to connect directly to Michael, message him on Instagram.
Okay,
Cool.
I
Thank
feel like
you.
I overwhelmed
Who
you.
wants to know
Yeah.
about your book, Bobby? It's like 3 or 4
Yeah,
people.
we're not even going to talk about the book. It's an old crusty. I wrote it back. I've been doing foreclosures late 1900s. Wrote an ebook. I sent it to Michael. We got a giggle, and I said we need to update this thing. It's got so much good information and a lot of my ideas. Maybe we co-author one, Michael. The basics are there. We need to update it, but we can talk about that later. But what I want to do, Caroline, is let's get to some of the tough questions for Michael while we've got him on the phone.
Yeah.
He's done more deals than anybody that I know specifically in this niche. He ought to name a company after that. That would be cool.
There we go. Darian, I'm going to set you free. We'll connect with you on Instagram outside
Darian,
of here.
good meeting you, brother.
Rebecca, you raised your hand. Do you have a question for a pre-foreclosure situation for Michael?
Yeah, let me swipe all these calls away that are coming in. So I met a couple of weeks ago with a lady who is in pre-foreclosure. She admitted she just kind of had her head stuck in the sand. She told Lindsay, I text Lindsay or I text Carol, I don't know who I was messaging, like you're in the heat of the moment and you're like, oh my God, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And so I messaged on Instagram and I think Lindsay called and she's like, you're with the homeowner right now? I'm like, yeah, let me put you on speaker. And she told the homeowner how it's going to go down, what she was going to say, what was going to happen. But it was like, I don't know, some dead president's birthday or something. So anyway, everybody was closed. So maybe it was Columbus Day, whatever. So we made the appointment for the next morning. We had to do it at a very specific time because she was leaving to the ranch to go take care of her 95-year-old mom. She's lost her job. She hasn't made a payment for 4 or 5 months. She has not taken a phone call from the mortgage company. Lindsay told her what she would do is, we would talk with Lindsay the next morning. We would call the mortgage company. Lindsay asked her very specific questions and she was able to answer them, although she was wrong on like the interest rate and things like that. The amount that she owes or what she thought she was behind in. That was great. And Lindsay told her about the forbearance option, maybe a modification. Of course, I told Lindsay, I said, well, in a modification, her interest rate would likely go way up because her interest rate was like at 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, tried to get a hold of Lindsay the next morning. I don't know, we missed our time, but I went ahead. I was there with the homeowner. So we went ahead and called. It was Loan Depot. They were really nice. And I just kind of had written down some notes when Lindsay was talking as to what she would ask or say. But I need to know what to do today because I got to go meet with her again. And I don't know what to do next. So what they told her they would do is get back to her about whether or not they could put the loan in forbearance. Was that the wrong thing to do?
Michael, take it away.
No, not necessarily. So there's a fine balance between just trying to keep a homeowner in their home, right? And having a sales process to get these houses under contract. And as much as we want to be the good Samaritan all the time, which I love doing, I love helping homeowners, even if it doesn't benefit me. Sometimes people are in a situation where they're fighting and clawing for their house when they cannot afford to be there anymore. What I heard is we're trying to do loan modifications. We're trying to do forbearances. We don't have a job. Going to be difficult. So sometimes these people need a little bit of tough love. What is the ideal outcome for this person? What have they shared with you?
Well, her income is about $1,100 a month with Social Security, and that's about how much her payment is. What happened about 6 years ago is her husband divorced and left her. She didn't want to get rid of the family home, which they've been in for about 40 years. They had added on and put about 600 square foot onto the house and, widened out, made the master bedroom a master ensuite and enlarged the kitchen. And it's really nice. It's very well kept. She's maintained it really nicely. She has about $170,000 equity in the house. On the tax rolls, it's being taxed at about 200, or the appraised value on tax rolls is 270,000.
Really quickly, Rebecca, where is this deal?
This is in Southeast Wyoming, Torrington, Wyoming, on East I Street.
Okay, I don't have a lot of information. What is your exit strategy before we go any further? Because Michael already kind of hinted at this. He wants to try and keep everybody in. If she cannot stay in, what would be the next exit?
I tried to kind of broach that.
No. So I probably, if she, not with the homeowner, but if she could not stay, let's just us right now talking.
Okay.
If she cannot stay, probably have to sell this. So if she can't stay, are you going to purchase this and keep it? Do you have a buyer in mind? I don't know anything about Wyoming marketing except for there's Jackson Hole.
I can do multiple things. I have a buyer here in town. He likes to put his money into local. And
So
he would
that's why
probably
you
just,
want to buy this.
yeah, he would front the
Perfect.
money, whether we partnered or whatever. Yeah, he doesn't care.
As
Mr.
long-
Collier, yeah, he doesn't care.
Perfect. I'm going to give it back to Michael here. I just want to jump in for a moment.
Thank
Guys,
you.
the biggest thing is we do not go and lock things up without a buyer being set up and ready to roll if it's not a fit for us to purchase it. So you just don't want to promise things to homeowners and rip the rug out from underneath them. So that was my only question. Okay, Michael, what other questions do you have for
I have not promised her anything, except for to make some phone calls with her. We have asked the loan company, just like Lindsay said, try to put her in forbearance. But then again, it's just going to get her further behind on the loan. Her daughter's telling her she needs to sell it. Her son says he wants to buy it. You know, everybody says things, but who's going to really do anything for her? And she doesn't want to leave her family home. Her car is worth about $1,000 and has 200,000 miles on it. She needs a new car. But her mom is at the ranch where she takes care of her once a week. She drives down to Colorado. Her mom is 95. If her mom dies, she will get some inheritance out of that ranch. And she thinks that might help her to get it caught up. But that's just.
What's keeping her in Wyoming?
It's
If
her
mom is
kid.
that old, when is it time to go hang out with mom?
Well, she goes once a week because
I mean,
there are.
with mom.
No. Well, I don't think she would do that. It's the ranch, so it's owned by all the kids, 5 of them.
Sounds awesome. But anyway, what I'm hearing is we have an $1,100 a month payment from Social Security. The payment for the house is about the same. That's danger zone. She should never be more than about a third of her income for that. You said she would have $170,000 in equity. Do you know how much she owes at the moment?
I think it's 169.4. I hate giving roundabout figures, but my husband's on my other phone, and that's where I would look at that loan document, which I have a copy of on my scan app because I scanned it while I was there.
So it's 170, give or take, principal. So it's worth mid-threes.
Yeah, it would sell in the 3s if it was sold on the market, but I don't think that Mr. Cottier, my buyer, would give her more than what the tax assessed value is, which is $270.
Okay. So there's potentially $100,000 in her pocket. What kind of money does she have in her bank account right now? Any?
Yeah, I think that's pretty slim pickings. And the only reason she's been able to make it there since 6 years ago when her husband left her is she rented out her basement for $700, $800 a month to a doctor. That doctor stayed for 2 years. And then she had a student come in for another 2 years until they finished their degree. So that helped her kind of kick the can down the road, helped her make the payments.
And the arrears, you said 5 or 6 months behind?
Yes, sir. And so last year she got behind. This is important, I feel like, to know that honestly, this is just happening again. And a grant came in and helped her with about $12,000 in arrears.
She has a partial claim, more than likely, on the house. So if she owes about 170, it's likely it's more like 185 with the partial claim. And then I don't know if that 170 includes the arrears for this time around or not.
No, it doesn't.
It does not.
That's just
And
what's on the loan balance.
It's likely that it could be closer to a $200K payoff. I'm just kind of guessing.
So what are you saying? Can you explain to me the partial claim part? What is that?
So she may have gone into forbearance last time, or sometimes there's different organizations, HUD namely, that can say, hey, you went through a tough situation. You're $12,000 behind on your mortgage payment. We're going to give you those funds, and it's going to be tacked on to the end of your mortgage, 0% interest loan, and it only needs to be paid off when you sell down the line. So this is a very common thing for people when they go through this process multiple times, right? So then they have these things they forget about. People forget about their partial claims. And it's like, oh no, there's a $20,000 or $30,000 lien that we weren't aware of, and that ends up killing the deal sometimes. But this is another reason why she needs to move on. You had a Band-Aid once with HUD. Great. It's a perfect situation for some people, especially right after COVID. That whole situation, people were getting those. Makes sense. But now we're doing this again, and we're just digging a deeper and deeper grave. And when she had someone, there to help her make the payments, great. But if you're 100% of your income is your payment, how are you going to live? how are you going to operate at all? It's not going to work. And a person like this,
Michael, I'm sorry. I want you to continue, but I want you guys to notice what Michael just did. Don't lose your thought. He asked a question. If all of remember this, he's not talking at them. He's asking questions to get their gears moving. If all of your income is going to your housing, how are you going to live? I just want to highlight that so you're not just on autopilot right now listening. I don't know if you guys understand. Michael Franke is worth probably $30,000 an hour, and we have him in the Zoom right now and this YouTube live giving us feedback. I don't know. Hey, that's a guesstimate, but I'm telling you guys this because he helps so many families. And I don't know if we understand that we're in the midst of a master. So I want to really highlight, he's asking questions. He's not talking at them. So Michael, you just said, how are you going to be able to afford this if you're spending your entire income? Continue on. I just wanted to highlight that really quickly.
So sometimes when you see these situations thousands of times, the seller will say, well, I want to stay in the house. I want to do this. I want to do that. And the inclination is because a lot of the people on this Zoom, we have big hearts. We want to serve this people, including myself. And for the longest time, they would say, this is what I want. And we would immediately go into, well, let me figure out how to solve for what you said you wanted. And that's okay. But the reality is when you see enough of these situations, I can understand what her future is more than she can because I've seen it too many times. So sometimes those people need a little bit of tough love. You're not being rude. You're not being ugly. You're just painting a picture of what's probably going to happen. You're like, hey, look, I've seen a situation hundreds of times. I understand you want to stay in your home. I actually almost got behind on my payments back in 2014. I get where you're coming from. I understand that fear, but I also have a math degree. And I'm just looking at these numbers. $1,100 a month in Social Security, $1,100 a month payment to your lender. And just let them sit in that for a minute and help them realize that, hey, we got to have food. We got to have payments for your car that probably needs fixed up. We got to have your electrical bill. We got to have all these different things. So we can either stay here in this box with four walls that you love and you're used to. But let's say I find a way to stop this foreclosure sale again. Maybe you file bankruptcy. Maybe you get this forbearance. What you're doing is kicking the can down the curb, but we're still fighting and clawing every single month. Or we could try to find a way to sell this house, get as much money as you can for it. We and my team could help you find a new house that's maybe in just as good of condition, if not better. You have a refrigerator that's full of food. You have a bank account that's fuller than you've seen in a long time. You don't have to worry about the weight of this house. Tell me, what's better, fighting and clawing for this box with four walls or being in that ideal outcome? And then listen.
Very solid. Good questions.
Your job is to cast vision for them. You're not we're not selling them and forcing them down a path. I don't want to do that. I'm very, very genuine in that I want to serve these people at the highest level, but sometimes serving them at the highest level is telling them the truth. And in this situation, she needs to be told the truth.
And her children agree.
My fear is she gets a forbearance or something else. A few years go down the line, and then all of a sudden her equity's shot from all kinds of different interest and fees and whatever else. And then we're in a really tough situation. Whereas right now it's a tough situation, but there's enough equity to where she can really turn her life around here in a pretty short amount of time. She just has to be willing to admit that that's the best path.
So how do I find out about that partial claim and whether or not that is on there, or does that matter at this point?
You can look at your Recorder of Deeds website. More than likely that lien is filed against there. You should be able to see it. I haven't looked at Wyoming.
Well, it's Goshen County, and Recorder of Deeds is like me walking down to the courthouse, and I'll just look. You
should just call up the Recorder of Deeds. There's a lady named Jan there, and just say, hey, I think there's a partial claim on this house, 123 Main Street. Could you help me find where that is? I have no idea. Just act as green as physically possible. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm so smart. I know exactly where that is. And then they'll geek out on showing you anything that you want. That's how you learn things in terms of finding documents and whatever else.
I make offers here in Goshen County for a guy in Utah pretty often. He says his name is Jeff. Just go down to the courthouse and buy them at the sheriff's auction. And so I've learned quite a bit from doing his legwork for him. But yeah, I think her name is Megan. Your Jane is my Megan.
There you go.
They're all Jan.
They're all Jan.
There's no other name. They're just Jan.
Hello.
Just Jan. Jan Doe.
Yep. Jan Doe. Very good.
Okay. So that would be important for my buyer to know exactly what the payoff is then.
Yep. So on those appointments, I definitely like them to have a mortgage statement before I come. Hey, can you search for that? Perfect. And that should at least get you in the ballpark of where you're
So
at.
on the mortgage statement, it would not have the partial claim. That would be added on, likely. Okay. So what if she used the Wyoming Housing Network's what if she used Wyoming Housing Network? They have $35,000 per household in Wyoming to get their arrears caught up. So I've filed for that.
Here's the question, Rebecca.
Yes.
How much is her income every month?
The same as her house payment.
So if you listen to what Bobby or what Michael said, do you think it's a good idea for us to help her stay in this home if she cannot afford to stay in the home?
I'm looking at having Wyoming Housing Network pull
that's
out.
The question I asked.
I know. But the reason that I'm doing that is because my buyer would get a better deal and could give her more money in her pocket.
All right. But remember, we got to cast the vision. If you get into stopping that, she might think she can stay here longer.
No problem, Rebecca. Getting all those details is awesome. You still haven't gotten your homeowner to agree to sell. If you can't convince the homeowner to sell, you've got nothing for your buyer. So what I would do, in addition to everything Michael said, is go back to the homeowner and ask some very kind, pointed, and direct questions. And I missed it. I was taking notes. Did you say when the trustee sale is?
We don't have a trustee sale yet. We have Loan Depot considering putting her in forbearance is all we know right now.
So with that pending foreclosure, sometimes there's not, without that date, sometimes there's not the urgency for a seller to move and act and get them out of that emotional state and more thinking in their rational brain. But I would definitely go back to her and say, hey, if there was an amount of money, there's a problem. We want to solve your problem. What does that amount of money look like? Don't talk about purchase price of the home, 2, 3, 4, 500,000. I don't care about that. What I want to focus on is if we get you 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. And again, I'm not throwing out numbers yet to them. I want them to speak first to me. But if we could get you some money, have you thought about that? Or you considered hitting the reset button on life, going and moving in with mom, moving in with somebody? What's plan B? We got plan A, stay here. I want to die in the home. I get it. B, and just be a little realistic for a second and ask some very pointed questions. And then once you have that, that will give you your next chess move. But you can't get to that point. I just bought a home with a partial claim locally. It was a $65,000 surprise that the homeowners didn't admit. And we still made, we netted $80,000 on that property, which was great. They walked, I paid off all their debts. But those are some things I couldn't get. That was irrelevant until I could get the homeowners to agree it's time to sell. The foreclosure sale is looming. The trustee sells in a couple days. I'm happy to wire the money. I will take on that problem for you in exchange. Here's what I need you to do. Does that work for you and your family? Is that, a path? Because I'm going to tell you the other option is the sheriff comes, shows up, knocks on your door, gives you a document and says you have X amount of days to vacate the premise. That is a really, really bad scenario, and you walk with zero. So that conversation, if you were her, I'd be having that conversation. I call it the velvet hammer. Be very direct, be very soft, but you've got to get those answers. And then you can figure out all the partial claims, all the other things, get you one title. But that's a hurdle you need to overcome. If she doesn't want to sell, you don't have a deal.
In terms of that Wyoming grant, it would be a good exercise for you, maybe not for this deal, but for in the future to understand the terms of that grant. Did people dirty back 3 or 4 years ago? They say, oh yeah, this is just government money. We're going to tack this on to the end of your loan. We may not even make you pay it back. All this different stuff. Well, then people didn't make their payment for quite some time. Then they're like, oh, it's all due now. We want all of our money now. And some of them have a stipulation on how long you have to live there if you're going to get that grant. So what I want you to do is just call them up, ask for the fine print of what the terms of that loan is. If it's just, you get it for free, or how that's going to work. I think it would be good education for you regardless whether you use that on this deal or not, because there may be a seller down the line that might be a better option for. But this lady, even if you caught her up with another grant like that, again, she's just going to get behind again. And my fear is this loan's going to end up being a third mortgage, a third lien at the end of it. And then we're going to end up doing this again. And then all of a sudden, we're in a worse situation. So I want you to educate yourself on that, but I don't see that being a solid plan for her at all.
You delay the inevitable. And so it's better to have that conversation up front.
Yeah.
I'd love to focus on a question from Brian in the chat. Michael, this is a fun one. This is where we get into the meat and the things that get me excited about this and the creative part of the financing. But it said, would you buy a pre-foreclosure by quitclaim deed and then pay off the bank's first, second, third lien? The banks are very slow giving payoffs. And my response is I do like the deed and POA approach. It's there's so many different ways to handle a deal, but have you done pre-foreclosures by quitclaim deed?
Sure. Definitely done it before. It's something that I would recommend for someone that's more seasoned. And you 1,000% want to make sure that you have title pulled and understand what you're getting yourself into. There is a company here in Kansas City. I will not mention their name, but they make my skin crawl a little bit. They will go into any situation, find a person that's desperate. Go ahead and deed the property over to me. They do it right there in person. They self-perform, right? But then they have no title. They don't know what's happening. And then all of a sudden, they go down the path and they're going to do whatever with the property. And then they find, oh, there's a big federal lien. There's a partial claim that we've been talking about. Maybe it needed to go through probate or any number of things. Then they're basically like, oh, doesn't work for me. And they just walk away and don't help the seller anymore. So if you're going to do that, there's merit to doing it. Just make sure that you understand title and that everything's clean, that you have a good exit strategy. This is something that you would want to shadow someone that had done it a bunch of times and truly understand it, but it can be valuable in certain situations. And
it depends on which position they're foreclosing from. I mean, I bought a property before. It's actually in that ebook that we wrote, a first, second, third, and a fourth. And when the first is foreclosing, it's a beautiful thing to go negotiate with the second, third, and fourth, based on the simple fact that they're going to be, wiped off. at the trustees cell. So we recently did one in Florida where we took a $500,000 judgment. Anytime I see judgment, I get really excited because we know they're a debt collector. They want to collect on the debt. We were able to settle that debt for about $200K on that property. And then there was also a $50,000 note, hadn't been paid on in years. We ended up picking that up for $2,500. So those are some of the things you can do to create equity in property. Totally different conversation. So, but anyway, good questions. Oh, one more, Rebecca.
So this is so great. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe what I'm learning right now. It's amazing. I've got the partial claim situation. I need to learn more about the background of the grant and how that exactly works if they ever have to repay. I need to really hone in on those good questions like Michael was asking, not poignant, but pointed. If all of your income pays for your house, then what does life look like after that $1,100 is spent? What are your options? Which I've kind of broached that, but I really need to be a little bit more, let her sit with it, like Michael was saying. That was like, boom, so good. But as far as the trustee sale, I also like that idea because I've had a couple of other people in that situation where that's what was the motivating force of getting out of the house and doing something. How would I find out when the trustee sale is?
So you need to understand the foreclosure process in Utah. Bobby knows it better than I am because he lives there. But there's a general period of time. If there is a notice of default filed, then there's an X period of time until that sale is set. But they also need to understand, even if that NOD isn't filed yet and they're not even starting there, that once that process starts, that's when the attorney fees and all the fees on the fee starts being added on. And then if there's a trustee sale scheduled, they're going to throw even more fees on. So the longer she waits, the further she gets behind, one. And then two, all the fees start adding up. And my fear is that 170K principal that we talked about ends up turning into 2 or 210, and there's not as much meat on the bone for her as there could have been.
They end up pre-spending their equity. This is the biggest challenge with homeowners that I say, look, you have an opportunity to capitalize on some of the equity if you continue doing nothing. You do have late fees, just as Michael was stating. You've got your monthly payment that just continues to collect. Now you introduce attorney fees. Not a fan. They charge a lot for doing very little, filing paperwork, and there's value when they're on your side doing some work for you. But all of a sudden you get a bill from the attorneys or the HOA. There goes 10 grand right there. So be very, very, very careful. But there's for those that read the good book, the Bible, James 1:5, if you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. For those that are in the world, I kind of have a spin on that. If you lack wisdom, ask Google. Get online and chat. Look up some of these things. Somebody said, "What's a POA?" It's power of attorney. Look up some of those terms so that when you come to these and we're talking about these things, we're not speaking a foreign language to you. We're speaking in terms that you understand. There's a glossary. Pre-foreclosures. It's a completely different animal than just doing traditional real estate. Some real estate agents have no clue how to do a pre-foreclosure. You'd think they'd train them on this. They do know a little bit about short sales, but this is an art and a skill, and there's a community. There's a tribe that does this day in, day out, and the data is there with niche so that you can get in, find the family, get the scripts, and have a meaningful conversation. And then when you get to the point and you say, I'm stuck, help, you've got a community that you can post in a chat, and you've got 15 different approaches, if it exceeds your level of understanding. But it's very, very important. You've got to understand these dates and the pre-foreclosure trustees. So what those are, what it looks like in your state, so that you can actually help the homeowner so they don't have that experience with the sheriff. It's not a good one. So
yeah, I've been to
a couple homework, Rebecca.
Okay, yes, I do. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. All right, I want to be mindful. Michael, I know that you and I have been on Zoom since the crack of dawn. Do you have a moment for 2 more people?
2 more questions. I actually like Jesse Lee Gomez's question up top from 136.
130. What'd she ask?
But we have like 5 people in the queue here.
I know.
So,
I'll bring up. I'm going to bring up.
Bring Jesse Lee on.
Yeah.
Well, she's not. It's a question in the side chat. I'll bring up Nick
Oh.
really quickly, and then we'll go to
Yeah.
Eric, and I'll get to Jesse's question. Nick.
Hey, what's going? Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
We can
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay, because there's
Love
no. All it says is just mute. What's going on, guys?
Hey,
How
I'm
we
going to
doing?
keep it short and sweet because we're over
Yeah.
on time.
So,
what you got?
Bobby, based on what we were talking about yesterday, so I have the reinstatement for a remortgage property with an auction on the 7th. I got the first lien position is 157,000. To wholesale this, it's going to be no more than 180. So I don't know from here with only 36 hours if they can even do an auction on a Saturday, which I don't think they can.
Where's the seller mentally? Hold
He's ready to
vacant.
sell.
What's that?
He's ready to sell. He's ready to relocate.
Okay.
He just wants out.
So there's a couple ways. If it's the first position foreclosing, there's a couple ways you can stop or postpone the auction. That would be one strategy I'd look at. Second, and that would be number one. What is the reinstatement amount?
34,000.
Okay. Had a very, very similar deal where I reinstated and stopped that process. So you can reinstate the first, and then you're taking over the payments, tying it up sub 2. But then before you do that, it's very quickly calling the second, third, fourth, any junior lien holders and say, look, there is a trustee sale. We're interested in settling. What do you want to do? If this happens and goes to auction, you get nothing. There's not a lot of time for them to negotiate, but they can very clearly see that sale is set up. So that is an opportunity to get those as a discount. It's a very quick transactional thing and not something for the faint of heart. You got to know what you're doing in that one. So do you have signature authorization from the homeowner to speak to the banks on their behalf?
Nothing like that yet. We made contact.
First thing you need to do.
Okay.
So look up online or get from Michael third-party consent, or they're not going to speak with you. Sometimes it's a handwritten, sometimes they'll accept electronic signature, depending on if they're living in the dark ages or not, as a bank, and it takes them a long time to process. So you may have to get on the phone with that homeowner and the bank and get third-party consent live, and that'll give you access that day. Or just had one the other day that said, you are now on here. You can call anytime, in the next 12 months. Like, sweet.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what you need to line up before you start, knocking those down. And then also at the same time, this is what I call changing a tire while driving down the freeway. You've also got to understand with the homeowner, how's the roof, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, any issues there. Hey, tell me about some of the repairs, because I want to get you as much money as I can. However, if we've got a bad roof, if we've got leaking, if we've got mold, we've got, yada, 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 all those things, termites, there's going to be less equity because we have to invest in that. I am not in the business of losing money on investments. I am in the business of helping homeowners, but we don't have a philanthropic arm that just funds really bad deals.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Get all that information and bring it to us.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Sorry for
Love
joining late. My time zones, I totally
You're
thrown
good.
off. I thought it was still 3:00. So
You're good, dude. I'll see you next time.
see ya.
But before you go, Nick, don't mention the community that you were a part of, but you were a part of a community for 2 years. What's happened in the last 5 months? Because I want Michael to hear this from your mouth.
We've closed about 10 deals. Some are JVs, some are foreclosures, and we're going to probably north 6 figures on these deals. So been awesome.
Because you focused on one thing. You weren't doing a bunch of random challenges. You focused on one thing and went all in on it, right?
It's because of both of you guys and Bobby. Honestly, this photo right here is exactly what got me started, and it's honestly the best people I've ever met. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Love that.
You're
Very
welcome.
much.
It's
Good seeing
exciting.
you.
There's nothing better than I love helping a homeowner out, but it's also fun when you can take this very, very complex animal and sort the deal out. There's nothing more fun.
I wanted to bring Nick up, one, because I talked to him a lot and I knew I could get him through the question really quickly. All right, Eric, you're the last question we're going to bring on stage, so I hope it's a good one. Please be direct for us. How can we help you? Just click the unmute button on your end because it shows that you're muted.
All right. Yeah, I'm out here in Arizona, and I guess this one that I just found through the niche list, was knocking on the door, got a hold of the guy, and he said he just quit making payments because his sister was trying to claim it's her house after doing a preliminary title search on it. Apparently title allowed him to sign the property over to himself, and he wasn't in the actual will. His sister is the beneficiary, so she's taking him to court now. I don't even know if there's anything in this deal at this point, but I mean, just from what I've shared, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Is she the executor or the beneficiary? Those are two different things when it comes to a family trust.
I will have to research to find that out.
Okay, because an executor simply carries out what is in the will or the trust, and they don't really have any, benefits, advantage, more money, less money. It's not like they can do that to themselves. So that's an important, very key component to get access to what is said in there, because a lot of people don't understand that. He shouldn't have been able to quit claim deed or, do that unless he has power of attorney, like
Okay.
legal power of attorney, and unless they've got a fraudulent title company and somebody to sign off on that. That's
Eric, you said you're in Phoenix?
Correct.
Caroline, do you know what site down there has all the probate case filings? You should look up that particular property, and any type of modern website will have kind of the history of that probate, if any. You might go back and see if there had been any court
Message
dates
me.
or yeah.
Message me on Instagram, Eric, and let's take a look at it. I have a day. I really have not had a moment to myself, so I'll be slow. When's the auction on this?
It's not till January 30th.
Okay. We'll move on it. I'll get back to you today. Let's look at it. I'll look on the MLS what we can see. We'll contact, because I had a situation sort of similar to this where title, there's situations sometimes. So the title insurance should probably cover this, but we can look into this. Let's figure out what the probate says, and we can look into it a little bit more. But Michael, you want us to look and see probate documents?
I just wanted to see what the history of that is. Sometimes when I'm dealing with probate deals or even pre-foreclosure probate deals, going back in the county records, they'll show kind of the step-by-step of what everything they've done with that probate case, and it can give you some context of what's happened. Because sometimes the seller or whoever's involved, they're throwing around some legal jargon. They have no idea what they're talking about. But if you could go back and look and see, actually what's happened, that could help you out some.
Okay. Or could we get an actual copy of the will? Is that
It
public?
should be in there.
Will the daughter have it?
If they got it notarized and filed it with the county, it should be in there.
Okay.
Then you could really see what's going on.
All right.
Or who are you speaking to? The daughter or the brother?
The brother.
Brother?
Yeah, the sister is the one that's the beneficiary, and she's taking him to court.
Yeah.
So
they'll have to have all of that for court.
Gotcha. All right, I'll do some more research on it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Nice seeing you, Eric.
Thank you.
All right. I want to bring up Jesse's question that you guys pointed out that Michael liked. Is it this one? How do we call the bank where the bank changed the locks and had a lockbox and the heir doesn't know the payoff either? I don't know how to talk to them.
So
Michael?
Is this an REO then? Gone through?
I don't think so.
I mean,
I think it's a winterization.
This is a vacant home.
Yep.
That the lender deemed it vacant. They went in and winterized it and threw their management sticker up on the door. These are the gold mines, right? So you track down the heir. They said, I'd like to do something, but I have no idea what's going on. And they have the right to be there. So just because the lender changed the locks, that doesn't mean anything. So in those situations, I will get them to send me a text or a video message. It just says, hey, this is my parents' home. I am the legal heir of the property. I give Michael Franke and his team with East West Properties permission to enter the property and permission to take pictures so I can understand the condition of the home. And then I go ahead and probably change locks in the back of the house, check out the condition of the home, and then have that conversation with the heir in terms of, what needs to happen in terms of probate or whatever else. But this is a situation where you can capitalize on it. My guess is that it's still in the name of the homeowner.
I just threw this picture up, Jesse. I wonder if this is what it looks like for you, but this is one that I had. They put the winterization on here. We were in the middle of we were like days away from closing, and the homeowner we were buying it from had left the property and moved in to their next property. So the house was vacant in the time of closing. and they put a lockbox on there. So Michael hit the nail on the head. We contacted the bank and we got the keys and everything taken off. But this is what it looked like when it happened. Just so you guys could see an example. All right, Michael, I appreciate you running over. I know you're a very busy guy. Bobby, I appreciate you coming on here as well. Guys, if you found any value, one thing I just haven't asked, this is free. We do this every week. First, click the like button. If you've not already, hit the subscribe button. Turn all notifications on. Nick messed up on the time. Didn't realize time change had happened. This is every 12 o'clock every Thursday on Arizona time. So the time change happened. Arizona doesn't change time zones. So it's 12 o'clock, which makes it 12 o'clock Arizona, which makes it 2 o'clock Eastern time. So whatever your time is, go to your phone, on your calendar, on your alarms, set it up so you're here on Thursday so we can answer your questions. We want to help you guys out and make sure that we.
Can I mention one thing?
Is that you? I want to make sure that we're helping you guys get to the root of all of your problems. And we're here every Thursday. Michael is live on Instagram every Saturday answering more questions. We get our data from Niche. It's very helpful. Michael, you've not only changed my life, but I think everybody on the Zoom. Thank you so much. Bobby, same to you. Michael, before we go, is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, just enjoy having these conversations. And yeah, if you guys get any deals, please share them in the Facebook group. It not only inspires everyone else in that Facebook group that's trying to get their first deal, but it gives me, Bobby, and Caroline a lot of emotional income. We thrive off of that stuff. So
a lot of fun. I have one thing to say. So there was a side chat that says power of attorney only applies until death, not after. And power of attorney is something very important that we ought to have a discussion on. I have power of attorney from a living, individual, and you want to make sure you get the documentation done prior to, so that you avoid probate issues. That's a whole nother. We need to do a probate live, Michael, where we delve into that, because that's a whole nother can of worms.
Fun game.
So good stuff, Maynard.
You're dating yourself.
Let's put it on the calendar, guys. So I'm gonna let everybody get back to it. It is a day to contact homeowners, help them stop the foreclosure, guys. How many weeks do we have left? 3 weeks left of 2024. 3 weeks left in 2024. There is somebody that needs your help. There's a foreclosure that's going to happen. Please do not give up. Help these homeowners. We'll see you guys next week. Bobby, Michael, thank you guys so much for being on here.